So let's look at example number 1. Okay. When I've done my pre-market preparation, I have an expectation that whatever I trade will go my way. It's as if I've already predicted the outcome, and I do not see myself being wrong when I'm in this of A game. I'm sorry. So again, I didn't edit the typos. Because of this, it creates a fear of losing because I can't seem to fathom losing because I'm already in a perfect state, in a perfect trade. I also expect to capitalize on all of the trade just because I'm in my A game. Okay. Fairly common, right? Expectation. Now, why does it make logical sense that I have this problem? It makes sense because I am very dedicated to my pre-market analysis, that I need it to trade well. Because of this need, I suddenly have an inflated sense of expectation that the next trade, being in this A game state for my pre-game preparation, will assure me a win on the next trade. Okay, look, that can't, I mean, look, that should make sense on some level, right? And it does explain, right, where that expectation is really coming from, right? Dedication to my pre-market analysis. I've done all this work. I need it to pay off. Why is this logic flawed? With variance of the market, nothing is sure. No one even knows if the market will go up or down because of variance. Okay, so that is, I think, a very accurate, representation of kind of one aspect of the flaw. And we get to the correction here. Expectations cannot arise in the market. With variance being present, no one can predict the future. You just have to deal with the hands that you are dealt with. Okay, and that's very logical. So if we look at this, though, my advice would be that if you try this correction, right? So you're going to basically take that logic in step 4, and as you recognize that there's this sort of need, right, to make this trade work. There's this expectation, right? You recognize that expectation, that need arising in real time. You take that injecting logic statement, you take that correction, and you inject it in that moment, and you're fighting up against it. If it works, great. Okay. Then you've captured and analyzed this problem to the level that you needed to. You got all the roots kind of exposed, and now you know what you're fixing. However, if you're having trouble really cracking through, like you kind of reach a certain point where you're making this progress, but haven't kind of cracked through entirely, I would look at a little bit more specifically the sort of need it to trade well, right? So in that step 2, right, I'm very dedicated to my pre-market analysis that I need it to trade well. I would actually make that a new problem in step 1. Okay. I'm very dedicated to my pre-market analysis and I need it to trade well. I need, right? So that need is something that's coming from a bit deeper of a place. I suspect it's coming from something related to confidence, right? The need for confidence to come through pre-market prep, or the need to have your work pay off, the need to not feel like you're wasting time, like something along those lines. And then, you can kind of work it through the system to find out what is actually flawed there. And the flaw might be, right, something that you're asking the market to give you confidence when it can't, right? The confidence has to come from something that's more independent, right? Or you're asking for, the market to provide, right? So if it needed to trade well, like, you can't handle like the mistakes or the feeling of wasting time. And so what's the flaw there? Well, look, I mean, there's going to be wasted time. That's kind of a part of the game, right? So like, you can't have kind of perfection with regard to knowing that every single moment that you're going to have is going to pay off entirely. But go through this process, and the goal is that more of your time is valuable than not, right? So again, when you're kind of working through your issues, being able to identify the different kind of facets of a problem is important, right? And so you can kind of test that and figure it out based on the result of that, the utility of that logic as it gets deployed, right? If it does its job, problem goes away, then you have actually gotten to the full roots of the problem. If it doesn't, then you can kind of look through your previous answers and kind of revise and reevaluate, kind of that next layer that you need to work through.